In today's Rise of Nations video, I'll be running through my second batch of 10 top tips for new and casual players. If you didn't catch the first batch, there's a link to the video in the description below. Each of these are essentially tips I wish I'd known about when I first started playing, as they make everything so much more efficient and just make your life easier. Since learning about this first tip, I cannot stress how often I use this. If you look in the menu, there is a hotkey that will select all of your injured units. You can see there, select all damaged units. Personally, I have this mapped to my mouse wheel, so each time I click it, all of my injured units on the screen are selected. This can be hugely beneficial if you want to efficiently garrison your injured units so they can heal or simply keep them out of harm's way and cycle your units with full health to the front line. Moving on to tip number 2, wealth is one of the more abstract concepts in Rise of Nations. I will often find I have lots of each resource except for wealth, but it's not as simple as allocating more citizens to a building to create more wealth. If you find yourself in this situation, a quick fix is to create more markets, as each market you build will provide a modest boost to your wealth income. Ultimately, you want to build more cities and expand your borders to really increase your wealth income, but that takes a significant amount of time and resource investment to achieve. While you're working towards that, building more markets is a relatively quick and easy way to give you a bit more wealth, particularly if you have several cities already, but only one market. Another wealth-related tip relates to fishing. When playing a water map, don't forget that fishermen can be a fantastic source of wealth. With everything that's going on in a match, that fact can be easily overlooked. Though it does mean you probably need to invest in warships to defend your fishermen, it's often more than worth the investment. So, don't forget to at least consider investing in fishermen when you next play a water map. Moving away from wealth, one of the lesser known but very powerful options in Rise of Nations is the infinite queue. It's so powerful in fact that I made an entire video dedicated to the subject, link in the description below. The too long didn't read explanation is that any unit production building has the infinite queue option, which is a little grey box that appears when you start creating a unit. Tick that and the building will continue to create that unit until you run out of the required resources. Even better than that, it will only take the resource as and when you create the next unit. So this is particularly powerful at the university to create scholars when wealth is a scarce resource. The shortcut for this is Q once you've started to create the desired unit. This is great for churning out units automatically without breaking the bank, leaving you to concentrate on the bazillion other things you need to do. Anyone who's played RTS games before knows that hotkeys are fundamental to improving your game, but there are so many it can be difficult to know where to start. In my opinion, the best starting point is BF, BW, and BM. With at least one citizen selected, these hotkeys will instruct them to build a farm, woodcutter camp, or mine respectively. They're great first hotkeys to learn as you will use them all the time, particularly BF for farms, and they're logical as B stands for build and F for farms, etc. Whereas some of the more advanced hotkeys don't make much sense, so you just have to learn the correct key, or bind it to one of your choice of course. This next tip will help you control your army while attacking a city, as your troops often end up charging in or just wandering off seemingly at random when you want them to hold their ground. Next time you want to attack a city and you have some siege units, which you should always have while attacking a city, select your whole army, hold down the Alt key, and right-click on the city you want to attack. What this will do is order the siege to attack the city, but the rest of your army will form up around the siege units and protect them. This can be great to fend off counterattacks from enemy cavalry, but at the very least it prevents your army from running off in all different directions. We've all been there. The next one is a little obscure, but very powerful indeed. Each general and patriot has a maximum of 1000 craft, which gets used up while using their abilities, and you have to wait for it to recharge over time. There is a way of increasing the maximum craft amount, enabling you to use multiple abilities at the same time. If you look at the smelter, you'll see a technology called forage, which later becomes supply and finally logistics. Each of these will increase the maximum craft by 1,000 each. So after researching logistics, you end up with 4,000 craft, meaning you can use your abilities 4 times without needing to recharge. But it's important to remember this only works on your despot, monarch, or comrade patriots, who you get when you choose the totalitarian governments at the Senate, being despotism, monarchy, and socialism. This doesn't work for your senator, president, or CEO if you go down the republic, democracy, or capitalism routes. When playing Rise of Nations for the first time, most new players will build a barracks, stables, and siege factory to create their army, which is fine when competing against an easy AI, but soon you'll need to build multiple of each building in order to keep up. Building multiple unit creation buildings in different cities will allow you to react quickly in different areas by simply creating units where they're needed. But more often than not, the action will be centered around one of your cities. So building multiple barracks and stables at that city will allow you to create and reinforce your army quickly. The only thing to remember is that each time you build a new one, the cost goes up. But it's not unusual to see at least 3 of each building to help you kick that AI's ass. Along with hotkeys, control groups are another popular RTS concept that new and casual players will find hugely beneficial as soon as you get used to using them. You can assign any number or combination of units to a hotkey from 1 to 0 or from F1 and upwards by selecting the desired units, holding Control, then selecting the relevant number you want to assign them to. From then on, each time you press that number, you will select those units. Not only does this work for all units, it works for buildings too. Personally, I like to use the number keys for units and the F keys for buildings, but you can use any combination you like. Use number 1 to select your entire army, then 2 for your cavalry to help you flank the enemy with them. Experiment with different combinations to see what works for you. Caravans are an incredibly important part of the game right from the beginning. Protecting your own and destroying your opponents is key to gaining an edge in any match. If you go into enemy territory, you'll notice the caravans create and follow a road between your opponent's cities. Knowing this will help you locate those precious caravans and destroy them. Better yet, if you wait for a caravan to be on the road between 2 cities, you may find them relatively undefended. Better yet, if you place units in the middle of the road to block their path, they will often stop where they are, and they're not very good at finding a way around, leaving them at the mercy of your army. Blocking a caravan's path is an effective strategy to help you deal with caravans quickly, then get out of there before your opponent has time to react. If you have any tips of your own, please leave them down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to check out my other Rise of Nations and strategy content, and let me know if there's anything you want me to cover in future videos. I hope you found this useful, and thanks for watching.